these are the top 5 best queen sacrifices in my opinion. So this first one is between Magnus Carlsen and Sergei Karyakin. It was played in the World Championship in 2016, and it could be one of the only queen sacrifices we've ever had in a World Championship game. And if we did have one before, then this is definitely the best one. So I'll start off from this position. Magnus Carlsen is with the white pieces. Now what black should do is just trade queens. Trade queens. He's going to be down 2 points in material, but that's not a big deal. But instead he blunders with queen f2. Now queen f2 is a logical move, you know. But unfortunately, you have to realize that this king's back rank is super weak. So first we have rook c8 by Magnus. King h7, and here is where the queen sacrifice is. You're welcome to pause the video, solve for white, checkmate in 2. There's only one move here that wins. Hopefully you've had some time to solve it. And it is queen to h6. And here black resigned. Because if you take with the king, rook h8 is checkmate. And if you were to take with the g-pawn, then rook takes f7 would be checkmate. Okay, so the next queen sacrifice I have is the opera game. And this has a ton of sacrifices, which makes the queen sacrifice even more enjoyable. b5 by black. By the way, Paul Morphy is with the white pieces. And Paul Morphy is a very legendary grandmaster, very famous. b5 by black. And Morphy sacrifices a knight. I mean, I could see that happening. Because this king, I mean, if it goes here, rook d1, very dangerous. And this king is yet to castle. So, of course, black blocks knight bd7. Morphy plays a very nice move. Very patient. Long castles. Because now this rook adds pressure on the d7 knight. And this knight isn't even defending because it's pinned. There's a ton of pins. So, rook d8 just, you know, strengthening more. But now Morphy sacrifices the rook. Because, of course, you couldn't take with the knight because you lose your queen. So, he takes with the rook. And Morphy does not take the rook. He realizes it's pinned. Remember, put pressure on the pinned piece. Rook d1, attacking the pinned rook even more. Queen e6, and now we have a legendary combination. Bishop takes d7. Queen e6, meant to get out of this pin. So now, black takes with the knight. And here's the checkmate in 2 for white. And it starts off with the queen sacrifices. Pause the video and solve. Okay, and the answer is queen b8. Sacrificing the queen, and now rook d8 is checkmate. Helped out by the bishop, and, fun fact, this is also now known forever as the opera mate. This next one is another Magnus Carlsen game. Now, we noticed that rook h4 would be mate, but this pawn is here. So, how do we get this pawn out of the way? Pause the video and solve. Starts off with queen h5 check. You're forced to take, and now rook h4 is checkmate. Helps out with the knight. I think this could be called a version of the Anastasia's mate. This next one is called the Immortal Game between Adolf Anderssen and Lionel Kitsarisky, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. And there's a ton of sacrifices. You'll notice right here that black is up 13 points of material, and yet white still has a slight advantage. If you want to know how, then you should probably ask for a video over these games. If you want to see a video over any of these games, then you can comment that below. So, it's even here because this queen plays really no role in the game. And this king is really safe. There's no checks. Knight can't be developed. Bishop has to go here. Here, honestly. This knight could get out. But what happened in the game is knight a6. What had to happen for black, there's only one move that saves the game for black. And it's bishop a6. And you'll see later why. I'll tell you why. But instead we have knight a6. And now we have knight takes g7 by white. King d8. And here's the queen sacrifice. We noticed that bishop e7 would be checkmate if it wasn't for the knight. So how do we get this knight from protecting e7? Pause the video and solve. The answer is queen f6 check, because the knight is forced to take, and now we have bishop e7 checkmate. And you realize why this bishop had to move to a6. It's so this king could move to c8 and b8 and have some breathing room. Unfortunately, that didn't happen, and white won the game with a spectacular queen sacrifice. So this next game is called the Evergreen game, which is also played between Adolf Anderssen. You'll notice that black is up 5 points of material, but we first start off with a rook sacrifice. Rook takes e7, knight is forced to take, and now you do not take with this pawn. Why do you not take with this pawn? Well, there's an even better move. So you'll notice the rook is lined up to d7, and if this bishop was out of the way, queen takes d7 would be nearly checkmate. Unfortunately, you need something more forcing than something like bishop b5 or moving just the bishop out of the way. Pause to solve, and the answer is queen takes d7. Because after king takes d7, the rook is on the opposite side of the king, so now you can play bishop f5, double check, so the king is forced to move. If it goes to c6, bishop d7 is checkmate, and if you go to e8, it's checkmate 2, bishop d7, followed by bishop takes e7, checkmate. And those are the top 5 greatest queen sacrifices, in my opinion, of all time.